Welcome back, guys. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is a letter opener. You see, when I was a kid, I was real big into fantasy, as well as Arthurian legend. And one day, my dad came home and he brought me this. I'd gotten it from a guy from work. And basically what it is it's an Excalibur letter opener. Amusingly, it came from Excalibur Casino and Resorts in Vegas, which has been closed for quite some time now. Helen has used the hell out of this thing for many years, using it as a letter opener. And as you can see, it finally broke, which is not really a surprise. It's made of that cast metal, which was real popular for quite some time, but it's very brittle stuff. I think it was actually really kind of intended for aesthetics, not actual use. But all that being said, she's had to, in recent times, use her hands like a savage and open up her envelopes. So I decided to get her this Damascus blank, and I thought it'd be cool to basically cut our own scales, and not to be confused with dragon scales. Now this is what's used to make knives. And finish out this knife. And it'd be a cool letter opener for her to use from now on. And hopefully she won't break this guy. If she does, there's a problem. We'll take care of that when that happens. So in the meantime, let's get to it. Basically what I'm doing is I'm gonna attach this 2x4 to this block, to this piece of wood here. And what that'll do is it'll allow me to keep this from trying to roll around on the table saw as I cut one side. I've countersunk the holes so that this side of the 2x4 can run along the fence without any kind of obstruction. And I'm only gonna put the screw in just a little bit, just enough to hold it so that I'm not, possibly putting a hole in a nice piece of wood. We had planned for the scales for this knife was some pieces of oak, and where this came from is an old oak tree that we had out back that's since been cut down. It was pretty heavily infested with mistletoe. Fun fact, mistletoe is a parasite and it kills trees, and it was killing ours. So I thought it'd be cool if I took a chunk of this, made it into the knife, and then we would have a piece of this house, because we're not going to live here forever. So when we move, we take some of it with us. On kind of a whim, I decided to cut a piece of, which is Japanese Plum. So we've since decided to use this instead, which works out too, because this was in our front yard, and it is no longer there because of Hurricane Matthew, who came through and decided it was going to go ahead and knock it down. So it's going to be a nice, pretty knife instead. So there's that. Moving on. roughed in on the scales using a 50 grit belt on the sander. I think they're looking pretty good. I think they look a lot better than the oak was going to. I mean, these things are just gorgeous. They're still a little thick, but that's kind of intentional. Next step is to epoxy it all together. I've got the pins ready to go. We'll epoxy it, we'll let it sit overnight, and then tomorrow, probably using the Dremel and a whole lot of hand sanding, we'll finish in and tighten up the shape, and then finish it with a finish. We haven't decided what that finish is going to be yet. It might be, we're thinking about a real nice red stain, or maybe just a linseed oil just to pull these natural colors out. I think we're leaning that way, but we haven't decided yet. So, see you tomorrow. It's the next day. It's been about 24 hours, so the epoxy is good and cured. Next steps are to pull off the clamps, trim up the pins, start shaping it, and getting it ready for its finish. We're at the point now where everything's sanded and super smooth, and it's time to finish it. And we were talking earlier about what finish to do. We were looking at a red stain or maybe like a linseed oil or something. And we're pretty new to this, so we went down to the uber awesome wood store. It's got some really beautiful stuff in it. And what they recommended is this Odie's oil stuff. No, we're not sponsored or anything. I just kind of wanted to show you what we've learned. He said this thing will bring out the grain, which is what we really want, because the grain in these pieces are really beautiful. So it's a little pricey. It's like $40 for this little jar. You know, for that price, you could probably buy a Tesla. But let's get to finishing this thing. We are finished. We went from childhood gifts that she destroyed, thanks dear, to this beautiful thing. Japanese Plum handles, Damascus steel blade, feels good in the hand, super smooth. Learned a lot of lessons with this. Definitely looking forward to the next one. And she's super excited, especially after we did the finish on it and these grains popped out. I thought she was going to lose it. So you know what that means? I get more tools. So until then, till the next time, see ya!